Hey boys and girls, it's Mr. Sunito, and I've got some math for us for today. It's a little trickier than yesterday, so I'm going to help you out. And why don't you go ahead and get your math book and a pencil. Come on back, and the page number that we are going to work on is 658. Pause the video and come back when you're ready. Now, in this video, we're going to look at the different sides or surfaces of our three-dimensional shapes. And this gets really kind of tricky, but let's see what we can do. At the top of the page, we're going to look at the top of the page, and you can read along in the book with me or just watch the video, but it says, trace around the flat surfaces of the three-dimensional shape to find the two-dimensional shapes. Now, two-dimensional shapes are shapes that are flat, and we've seen two-dimensional shapes before. They are sometimes called 2D, and they're very flat shapes. So it could be, you know what shape that is. That's a triangle. It might be what's that? That's a circle. Could be a square. Could be a rectangle. There's lots of two-dimensional shapes, but that's what they mean in the book. They mean flat shapes that you already know. So they've given us right in the middle. Do you see in the middle? What shape is that in the middle there? That is a rectangular prism, and I've got one here. This is a rectangular prism, and they want to know about the flat sides of the rectangular prism. Well, this is a little tricky to do on the camera, but if you look, what shape is that I'm tracing in the air? Can you tell what that is? That's a rectangle. And look, here's the rectangle that they used for the top. But of course, if I flip it over, I've got another what? Another rectangle. In fact, if you were to count these rectangles, I'm going to help you do it. I hope this works on camera. Let's count them. There's one on top, one rectangle, two rectangles. On the bottom, that would be the third one. And then right here, that would be 4. So we've got 4 rectangles that make this shape. And look, we've got one rectangle, 2, 3, and there's 4. But there's still 2 more flat shapes that we need to build this. Look at this side. Now that's not a rectangle. I don't know if you can tell, but I'll trace it in the air. Hold on. Can you tell what that is? That's a square. And we've got one square on top and another square on the bottom. So 2 squares. And you'll see, here's a square. Here's another square. And those are the flat shapes that we need to build this solid shape, this three-dimensional shape. And what we're going to do in a moment is look at some other three-dimensional shapes and see if we can figure out what flat shapes we need to make them. Okay, let's take a look in your book at problem 1. The directions say use three-dimensional shapes, and I've got those. Trace around the flat surface. Circle the shapes you draw. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at this shape here. This is a cube, and they want us to trace around the shapes. Now, I'm going to help you with that because you might not have these shapes at home. So here's my cube. Watch this. Boop, 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 boop. And if I connect these lines, it's not perfect, I know. That's okay. Look at that. What flat shape is that? That's a square. And you know what? Every side on my cube is what shape? It's a square. So let's go back to the problem. Problem 1, it said trace around the flat surfaces of the cube. Okay, we did that. And then it says circle the shapes you draw. Well, boys and girls, they give us some flat shapes here. They give us the triangle, the square, the rectangle, and the circle. Did we find a triangle in the cube? No. Let's cross that out. Did we find a square in the cube? We did. So what are we going to do? Go ahead, take your pencil, circle it. Did we find a rectangle? Not that shape, no. Cross it out, boys and girls. And did we find a circle? Nope, no circle there. Cross that out. Okay? Now, we'll do the next two together. So stay with me. What shape is that? That's a cylinder. I got one right here. And for this problem, we're going to trace the bottom. And you know what? Maybe I shouldn't use my purple marker because I messed up the last shape. I'll use a pencil. Okay. Now you don't have to do this because I don't. Did I just bump the camera? Oh boy. What a day I'm having. You don't have to do this because you don't have these shapes at home. But look what I just drew. Can you see that? What flat shape is that? That's called a circle. So when we look at problem 2, what shape did I draw? Which one? It's going to be the circle. And go ahead and cross out the others. Now, for you adults at home that are watching this, yes, I know I'm skipping the rectangle. We're saving that for later. And when I say later, I mean 2nd grade. Okay. Let's do our last problem together. Look at this. This is our rectangular prism. Here we go. Now we already did this one. I'm not going to trace it again. I can look back up at the top of the page. And in our rectangular prism, what are the flat shapes that we needed? There were 2 flat shapes. What are we going to circle? Did we need a square? Did we need a triangle? Did we need a circle? Did we need a rectangle? We did not need a triangle. And we did not need a circle. But we did need a square, and we did need a rectangle. So go ahead, fix that in your book. And then let's look at the next page, 659. Now, you're going to do this page on your own, but I'm going to help you out a little bit. It says circle the objects you could trace to draw the shape. So the question is, could you take a juice box and make this shape if you traced it? Probably. So you should circle the juice box. And they want you to go through each shape. If you took a book, could you make a rectangle? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, circle it. And if the answer is no, cross it out. Now, this one's a little tricky. It looks like there's some tennis balls in there. That's a cylinder. If you trace the bottom of the cylinder, would you get a rectangle? What about if you traced the bottom of that bucket? Would you get a rectangle? So that's what you're going to do for these problems on this page. Here you're going to look for shapes that could give you a circle. Here you're going to look for shapes that could give you a square, and here shapes that could give you a rectangle. Now at the bottom, we've got our Math on the Spot video, and it reads, draw a shape you would make if you traced this object. Now look at that. Have you ever seen that before? Well, I'll put the link up for the Math on the Spot video. You can watch that, and I bet that will help you answer this question, okay? Have a great day, boys and girls. Be sure to send me pictures of the work in Class Dojo, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.